Today, I'm going to show you guys how Claude can be a complete game changer for editing videos, whether that's text on screen like up here, or whether that's subtitles down at the bottom like right here. Or it could be motion graphics or charts and different elements. It can be pretty much anything you want it to be. I can move my face around if I want. I can do anything by just using my natural language. You don't have to know how to code at all. And I'm going to show you guys a ton of other examples. So let's not waste any time and let's just get straight into the video. So yeah, pretty wild. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to do all of this that I just did using Claude, and it's so much easier than you may think. And I'm going to give you guys a repo and a skill and all of the stuff that you need to get set up exactly like I've been set up here for completely free. So stay tuned and I'll show you how. So Claude is now a video editing team, and this has already been saving me so much time. It's actually crazy. Now, one thing I want to put into perspective real quick is if you've never edited videos yourself, if you've never used keyframes and animated motion graphics and things like that, you may not realize how long this 23-second clip would have taken you to edit manually. But if I wanted to edit this by hand, it would have probably taken me like 2 hours. And I'm not a crazy good video editor, so maybe some of the best could do this in 30, 45, an hour. But the people on my team who actually know how to edit videos really well said that this is a complete game changer. So we're going to talk about two different methods. The first one is using Claude Design. Yeah, Claude Design, the web app that we showed off yesterday. If you didn't see that video, I'll tag it right up here. But inside of Claude Design, not only can you make websites and slide decks, but you can actually animate things. I'll show you guys some examples. We'll go through a live build together. It's really cool. And then we're going to talk about how to do it with Hyperframes, which is kind of like a better version of Remotion. If you guys have seen that, it's a little bit more setup, but it's way more powerful. So I'm going to walk you guys through both of those. So real quick before we do that, let's just start with a taste. Let me show you guys a few different examples of what's happened here. So obviously you guys already saw that Claude edit intro, but let's look at one that I made called the Hyperframes sizzle, which just basically shows off the power of what Hyperframes could really do. All right, here we go. So we got this cool little terminal thing that installs Hyperframes. Hyperframes times Claude Code, write HTML, render video, built for agents. Hours to ship a 90-second video, Premiere Pro, Final Cut, but Hyperframes is a fraction of the time. We got these cool little phones pop up, and you can see it's like the process of rendering a video, prompt, preview, render. The audio is reactive, which is pretty cool. Another little terminal style animation. We're launching different color schemes. This is from Anthropic. It pulls in their font. We can see Claude 4.7 Opus. We can see a swirl type of animation, which we can install from Hyperframes. We could also do this chromatic radial split. We've got these other cool little overlays that could pop up, and you can use so many of these elements out of the box. They've got catalogs, they've got things like that. You can sync your voice to the actual words, like karaoke style subtitles. It goes from HTML to your browser to FFmpeg to MP4, and it is just really, really impressive. So this is supposed to be my logo. I'm not exactly sure what happened. That's weird. For some reason, the draft had my logo, but the final version didn't. So I would have to tweak that, but basically that's what happened there. And all of this entire video was animated and edited and created by Hyperframes and Claude Code. Okay, now let me show you one called the First Agent Promo, and we actually made this one in Claude Design. So in here, you can see that I basically, the other day, I made this thing called the First Agent Promo. So it basically made me a website. And so what I did with this is I converted this up here. I exported this to a standalone HTML, as you can see right here. I downloaded that standalone HTML. And then I went back into a new project right here, the First Agent release video. And you can see what I did is I dropped in that standalone HTML, and now we get this. So AI Automation Society, what if you could build an AI agent this weekend? All the branding is consistent. Your first AI agent, you can see that there's like a scrolling banner at the bottom. We've got these animations coming in really nice. And just once again, all I did was dropped in the HTML of our website and then said, turn this into an animated release video. I mean, I thought all of these animations are awesome. I really like this one with the terminal style stuff. I think that's really cool. And then it pops up at the end with, May 4th through 6th, just $20, 500 seats, claim your seat. Join for 20 bucks. It all is just super branded to the same way that the actual site is. And once again in here, my prompt was create me an animation for the first AI agent promotion. I dropped in the standalone HTML for this launch. There should be motion graphics, animations, and visual elements that explain what's going on. It should feel fast-paced and engaging. That's it. And then it created me this. Once again, this 30-ish second clip would have taken multiple hours to edit by hand. Okay, so method one is using Claude Design. How do we actually make a video? How do we make it feel branded? And where are the limitations of Claude Design? So you guys pretty much just saw all that, right? I came in here and I have my AI Automation Society design system. So now it understands my logos, my branding, my colors, my typography. And that's how it made all of this stuff for me feel like the real website, which real quick, just to show you guys, it looks like this. So this is basically exactly what you saw in those other two things, the promo video and the website. It has the same buttons, it has the same font, it has the same colors. And now every video I make or whatever I make in Claude Design will also look like that. So let's say we want to make a new video. If I go here to From Template and I click on Animation, now we can actually make a timeline-based motion design. So I'm going to call this one May Short Demo, and we're going to create from template. So what I want to do here is, instead of just animating, motion graphics, I want it to take a video of mine and somehow animate that with things on top of it. So I'm going to drop in a video file real quick. Okay, so I just attached this file right here. You can see May Short 6. So it's like a 18-second clip or something. And I want it to animate it. So I'm going to say, hey, I just gave you a video, an MP4 called May Short 6. And what I want you to do is create a landscape video. I want you to animate this so that people can watch the video, and there will be text and motion graphics and animations that sync up and go along with what I'm actually saying in the video. And it should be engaging and, keep their attention while visually illustrating the concepts. Okay, so that is my prompt. I'm going to shoot that off. And now Claude Design is basically going to start asking me some questions, and it's going to start making this video. Now, what you'll notice here is it can't actually read or listen to or understand what's being said in the video, which when you're animating a video, that's super important. And that's one of the limitations, is you would have to basically feed in like the transcript of it so that it could actually understand what's being said and where. So here it says, paste in the video with the rough timestamps. And if you had to do that manually, it's a little bit of work. Luckily for us, in my Claude Code project, we've already done this. And by the way, if you're overwhelmed looking at this, don't be. I'm gonna explain it later. But I would come down here to my May Short 6 project, and I already did basically extract the script. So if I go to assets, you can see I have May Short 6 JSON, and this basically transcribed this whole video word for word with timestamps. So I'm just gonna copy this, go back into Claude Design, paste that in. So now it should be able to see the actual script. And then it asks me some other questions. So where does your talking head sit? It could be full width behind me with graphics overlay on top. It could be me on the left, graphics on the right. And I'm just basically gonna say, decide for me. Let's see what it can do. Visual energy level, let's go with punchy. What kind of motion graphics? We will do animated captions. We will do diagrams, progress bars, screen, yeah, all that. Sure, we'll do full AIS dark theme. The end card CTA will be join the free community, and we'll do landscape and shoot that off. So what I like about Claude Design is it does a good job of asking you questions, but once again, like I said, the limitation is it can't actually read or listen to and transcribe the video. You would have to give it that timestamp stuff if you wanted to actually sync the text and animations to what you're saying, which obviously is very important. And of course, so that it actually knows what motion graphics to create. Okay, so that took like 2 minutes. Let's see what we got. I've built over 500 AI workflows, and most of them, businesses don't need flashy automations or cool AI demos. They want simple things that save time or make money. That's it. The workflows that actually work are boring. Stuff that replaces real work. That's what businesses pay for. Comment 500W and I'll send you the full breakdown. Okay, that is crazy. I mean, this is like super fast paced. There's lots of animations. In some ways, this actually might be a bit better than what we would do later with hyperframes, because like that is really impressive. Yeah, I mean, I'm very impressed that it was able to do this. Anyways, what you would do now if you want to export this, it doesn't actually let you export this as a MP4. So you would either just make this full screen and you would just screen record it, which would be fine. Or if it's a longer video, you could actually do this. You could go here and hand off to Claude Code and just copy this command. And then you could come into Claude and just literally give it this and then say, hey, render this as an MP4, and it would actually be able to do it for you, and then you get the download, which is exactly what I did here with the first agent promo. The render, you can see that we have the first agent promo, and that's exactly the same flow I did. I gave it that link and I said, hey, render this. Because when you think about what's actually going on with hyperframes, it's basically just creating HTML. And Claude Design is really, really good at creating HTML. And apparently it's really good at animating that HTML as well. So Claude Design is a very, very viable option to actually edit these videos. I'll show you guys another quick output I did earlier, which was this one. I did this one vertically just because I wanted to see how it would work and see what it did. And obviously I didn't prompt it too much, right? Like I didn't give it a ton of information, and I didn't tell it like, hey, when we're doing short form content, it needs to do this, this, and this. But here's what we got. Let me just get rid of the tweaks. Let's see what we got here. I've built over 500 AI workflows, And most of them, businesses don't need flashy automations or cool AI demos. They want simple things that save time or make money. That's it. The workflows that actually work are boring. Stuff that replaces real work. That's what businesses pay for. Comment $500. Okay, so the animations look good and stuff, right? But it's obviously just covering my face. So I'd want to say, hey, maybe you should put my face on just the bottom half and then put animations up top and things like that. But, I didn't even give it any information here. This one you can see actually timed out. So it filled in a bunch of information right here. It said that the question's timed out on the user. So it just went with the defaults. So maybe that's another reason why it's not as good, but this is really impressive. Okay, so that's Claude Design. You guys will be able to get in there, play around with it, and I think it'll be able to take you pretty far. But if you want to go even farther and if you want more control, then you might want to look at using Hyperframes, which is what I'm going to be showing you guys now. So before we hop into Hyperframes, let's real quick look at a few other examples that Hyperframes was able to create for me. So in this example, I basically said, hey, let's pretend that AI Automation Society is releasing a mobile app. And I gave it the URL of AI Automation Society, and here's what we got. That's pretty incredible. I love this slide. I love this scene. And the tweet is pretty cool. The follow is awesome. And the reason it was able to do some of these things is because inside of Hyperframes, or not inside, but they have this documentation of, like how it works. And they also have some really cool catalog things. So you could pull in this exact animation and just fill in your own things. A Mac OS notification, a Reddit postcard. We've got all of these different transitions as well. We've got the app showcase right here, which is what you saw earlier in a different video. But it is just so cool. You can do a 3D UI reveal like this. There's lots of elements that you can already pull out and use. Okay, let me show you guys another example of one that is kind of a course. Lesson 5.1, when and how to pitch an audit. At some point during a project, you're going to notice something. The client's business has more problems than the one you were hired to fix. You can see inefficiencies in workflows they haven't even asked about. You can tell the system needs more than a single automation, and you'll want to say something, but you won't be sure how. Bringing up a bigger engagement feels risky. You don't want to come across as the consultant who's always trying to expand the scope. So you might just finish the project, send the invoice, and move on. That hesitation costs you. Not because pitching audits is hard. Okay, so I'm gonna pause it there. You guys can see the styling is a little bit different, right? And for an educational style video, I don't even know. I might wanna use that, or I might wanna play around more with what we saw back in Hyperframes over here. Because like I said, I thought that this output was really, really cool. So the important thing to understand here is there's so much customization. Like obviously I tweaked this project so many times and I've rendered probably over 60 videos in the past day just playing around with different methods. And that's what's really important when you use a tool like Hyperframes or Claude Design, is that you're putting in your own sort of like, animation philosophy and your own design skills and your own things to make the outputs the way you want them. Now, before we get set up, I wanted to show you two other things that I tried to play with that didn't really work too well. So the first one was a ClickUp demo. I tried to make like a product SaaS demo, and I could have made this work a lot better if I did some things a little bit more manually, but I was really trying to push this tool to see what it could do with Claude Code. So basically what I did is I said, hey, go to clickup.com and screen record and log in as me and take screenshots and just create me a demo. And this is what it ended up making. It's not perfect, but if you think about the fact that I didn't record any of this screen thing and I just said, I shot it off on a prompt and it came back, it's pretty cool. Now this is also version 5. So I tried 4 different prompts and then I got to this one, iterated each time. But you can see it pulled the logo, it has this nice animation, the color scheme feels like ClickUp. We have sort of that 3D UI reveal. And this is where it loses me a little bit. It starts to just become a little bit static, even though you can see it went into the app and it was able to take pictures. But now it's losing a bit of that taste and it's kind of losing the energy that a human editor would have been able to put in. So what I think is really awesome about this is people who already know how to edit and people who have a nice creative like intuition are going to be able to use these tools to 10x their productivity. Because if someone has no taste, they might get outputs like this. But if someone has really good understanding of what makes videos engaging and what scenes and transitions they should be looking at, they're going to be able to use these tools like crazy. So anyways, that's what we got when I just gave it ClickUp's URL and said, make me a product demo. And then the other thing I wanted to show you guys is I was playing around with making shorts using Claude Code and Hyperframes because it's a little bit more customizable. And this was my second version of this one. I think earlier I made 5 or 6 shorts just testing it out. But you can see, shorts are different. They have to capture your attention. They have to be engaging. And I just don't think that this is there yet. Like I wouldn't post this, but I do think that if I keep iterating, it can definitely get there eventually. So let's give it a quick watch. Claude just killed ChatGPT. Not in hype, but in actual use. Better outputs, more reliable, less babysitting. If you're building with AI, you've probably already felt it. And if you haven't, then you need to switch before it's too late. Comment dead, and I'll send the video explaining why. Okay, so what I like about this is there's always something new going on. The subtitles are there automatically. Sometimes it's me on the bottom half and stuff on the top half, and sometimes it zooms into just me. And then sometimes it goes to just all motion graphics. So it definitely has this feeling like there's different vibes as you progress throughout the video. But like I said, it's not there yet. I wouldn't post this, but it's getting better and it's really cool. So how do we actually go ahead and set up hyperframes? Well, you have to use Claude Code for this. That's at least how I'm going to show you. And you can use this in VS Code, which is mainly what I'm going to show you guys. You could also use this in the Claude desktop app. So like what I've got pulled up right here. And what's cool about this is Claude desktop app has a preview function. So you can pull up an app you're working on or a local host, and you can preview your video right in here from the app as you're having a conversation, which I do like. But also I would like this to be just like full screen. And I don't know, for me, it's not too big of a deal to just switch over to my browser in order to see the local host and then just open VS Code back up. So that's really the main benefit of using the Claude desktop app. For me, the main benefit of using VS Code is I can see all of my projects. I can see the different assets I've dropped in. I can move things around. I can look at all my different renders. I like to be able to see my files, and that's why I'm going to be using VS Code for this video. Also, this entire project right here is going to be a free GitHub repository that you guys can access, like I said, for free. Just join my free school community. The link for that is down in the description, and you'll be able to find all of my YouTube resources in there. And once you get that GitHub repo, literally just take the URL of it, sort of like I did with this, the HeyGen Hyperframes one. You take the URL, you give it to Claude Code, and you say, hey, can you please analyze this, or can you clone it and pull it in, and then just help me set up my own video editing studio right here in this project. So that leads me on to step 1, which is you go to the official HeyGen Hyperframes repo. If you scroll down, you can read about all of the different things in here. It's already got some built-in skills that you can use. But then basically it shows you how this works and the quick start. So you could just use this. You could just install it right here. But I think what's better is you copy the URL. Like I said, you grab the URL of this GitHub repo, come into your Claude Code, paste it in, and then you just say something like, this is an open source video editing tool that I want to use. Analyze the repo, start to build some skills and start to build some knowledge around how it works, and then help me get it installed. And it will just, in a matter of minutes, you'll have it up and running, and then you just have to start iterating. And that's the thing about a tool like this, is it really is all about iteration. So here's my project. Here is the actual different ones I've worked on. You can see that I've iterated a ton. If I open up this one and I go to my renders, there's different versions, right? And there's so many different frames that I've tried. If I go to the May Shorts 19, we have tried so many different versions, because what happens is it gives you something and then you say, okay, here's what I like, here's what I don't like. Go make changes. And then it renders it again. And then you say, okay, here's what I like, here's what I don't like. And you have to do that over time. And as you do that, tell it, build up a skill for this, build up a skill for this, build up a design doc for this. So every single iteration, every single video you make makes your entire video editing studio in Claude Code better. So don't expect that you're going to be able to clone my repo, ask it to make a video, and it's going to be perfect. You're going to have to put in a little bit of work, but you can iterate extremely fast. And I built a custom skill for this. So I'm going to show that off in a second when we do this live edit here. So let's go into VS Code and let's edit a video together. I'm going to go to my downloads real quick and drag in a video clip that we're going to edit. Okay, so I've got this video right here. It's going to be 37 seconds long, and it's just me talking. I don't know why I can't see the preview right here, but this is now in our project. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Claude Code that we want to make a video using this video. So in my .claude, in my skills, you can see I've got some skills that you guys obviously will get access to all of them. And I have this one right here called make a video. And we've got some references in here, and we've got the skill. So what I'm going to do is say, hey, Claude Code, I need you to use the make a video skill, and I need you to help me create a video for the golden ratio demo.mp4 that I've dropped into the root of this project. So that's the video. What I need you to do is help me figure out how to animate this. I'm also just going to shoot this off in plan mode, and then we will get going. You can see it's invoked the make a video skill, and it's going to start by basically interviewing us a little bit and understanding the video in order for it to understand what to build. Oh, and by the way, just for reference, right now in my usage, I am 20% of the way through. So keep that in mind, 20% of the way through. Let's see where we are after we have our finished video back right here. Now, what I want you to do is think about what it's actually doing here. So right here, it tells us, okay, the video is landscape at 60 FPS, 37 seconds, 2,259 frames. Let me sample a few frames to see what this video actually contains. So it needs to analyze it a little bit. It says, got it. This video is just you at your desk in your AIS quarter zip with your mic. You're standing there just talking. So now it understands what it's looking at. And you can see it starts to set up all of these different gates. So the next thing we have to do is script and voice. So it's going to ask us some questions. What is the golden ratio demo going to become? A face plus motion graphic overlays. So that's kind of like what we saw in the Claude edit intro, the video that I showed you guys earlier. Or do we want my face cam to be like on the bottom right corner and make it be more of like a course style video? I want to do sort of one of these. So we will click on this. You want to keep the full 37 seconds or trim it. I'm just going to keep the full 37 seconds. Should I transcribe the demo so we get word level timestamps? Absolutely. So that's what's really key here is it needs to transcribe the video so that not only, like I said, can it create the right motion graphics, but it also needs to have them come into the scene at the right time. So you can either have it do this locally by installing like a Python whisper thing, and it will actually go do it on your machine. But if that's taking up too much of your RAM, then what you can do is just use like an API to do so. So if you give it an OpenAI API key, it can use OpenAI's Whisper to go grab the transcript and the timestamps. And right on cue, you can see it says whisper.cpp isn't installed. So it's going to try alternatives, which will be the OpenAI API. I ended up uninstalling this because when I was running like 8 different videos at the same time, it was just killing my RAM. So I just said, hey, just uninstall that. Now the transcript is in, and you can see that it starts to actually plan out what it's going to do for each kind of section of the video. So hero visual metaphor, what carries the golden ratio idea visually across the whole piece? Yeah, we'll just go with this. I'm just going to take its recommendations. What about the captions? I don't actually want to do captions. We'll say no, audio only. And face cam treatment, corner pip throughout, full screen for intro and outro, full screen with floating MG overlays. Yeah, I'm gonna do this one. You guys may be confused about this whole golden ratio thing because I haven't shown you the raw footage yet, but just stick with me, you'll see at the end. It's gonna keep chugging its way through all of these different gates. I'm gonna check in with you guys if we get anything interesting or once it's done. Okay, so we got the plan ready for review. So this is where you definitely want to spend some time making sure that you agree with what it's doing. So it's basically going to tell me here for each of these sections, what is the motion graphics or animations that it's going to create. Because once you start creating them, that's where you're getting a lot of output tokens being used because it's writing a ton of HTML. So if you accept the plan, but then you end up like not liking what it's doing, that will cost you more tokens. So take some time, read through the plan, and then go ahead and approve it. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and approve it, because I want to see how good it does by default without me helping steer it a ton. And one other quick thing I wanted to mention while this is churning out its code is that if you wanted to take like a completely raw, unedited video and drop it into here, you would probably want to manually edit out some of the mistakes and the retakes or some of the blank space or like dead space, because it's not going to be great at interpreting when is the start of a new sentence and when did you mess up and what do you want to remove. So you could also try to use a tool like Descript, but it's the same sort of logic. And even Descript messes up a lot of times when I try to use it. So I will usually just take the script. I will cut out the mistakes because I know what's a mistake and what's not. And then I take that file and drop it into here. Now, Claude Code with something like FFmpeg and Hyperframes, it certainly could, but you would just have to steer it. And at that point, if you're saying, hey, cut from 4 seconds to 7 seconds and then cut from 15 seconds to 22 seconds, at that point, you doing that and then having it render all that would just take longer than if you just did it yourself. So that's why I say that it's still capable, just got to play around. Okay, so it pulls up a preview, and I do want to say that I've been having a lot of issues with these previews on localhost. That's something that on Remotion I've basically never had an issue with, but for some reason Hyperframes, maybe because it's HTML based or whatever it is, it has a problem sometimes. So like right here, what's happened is it's loaded in all of the different compositions, but at the bottom of the screen you see it says 0 seconds out of 0 seconds, so there's nothing for me to actually look at. But here's the exact same scenario with the intro video, and this one's working fine. So sometimes it's been working, it's been a little bit hit or miss. I can go back and forth to have it, try to fix it. Or if it's doing the same thing to you and you're just getting frustrated with it, then just say, hey, you know what, instead, just go ahead and give me the full render, and then I'll give you feedback from there. The only time when that's really annoying is if the render is gonna take a long time, if it's like a 15-minute video, and then you render everything just to see that you need to make a few changes. Okay, so what's really cool is when I told it to go ahead and render it, what it does is it does another final check and it looks at the frames. And before I even gave any feedback, it made another fix. So it made a V1 and then it came back and made a V2. It gave us another localhost. Let's see if we can see it this time. Cool. Okay. We actually can see it in a localhost. So let's give this a watch. Hey guys, my name is Nate. Today I wanted to talk to you about the golden ratio of AI automation, which basically means When you think of automating a process with AI, you think about the first 60% being automated with just deterministic logic, the next 30% being automated with AI, sort of AI assisted, and then that last 10% being kind of the human in the loop manual approval stage. And the reason why I think this is important is because some people think that AI is magic and it can do it all. Some people think that AI is trash and it can't do anything because they've only been using Copilot. And really, it's actually somewhere in the middle. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. Okay, so pretty good. There's obviously some issues, but if you think about the fact that we hardly prompted it and it's, it added this overlay on the left-hand side so it can put text and we can see it. This was a big major issue. I think it put the blur on top of the text rather than behind. But, there's a few things we needed to fix here with spacing and with, the blur. But this is pretty cool. Like the animations that it's making and the logic that it went through to make this stuff is pretty cool. Now, also the video in general is a little dark. And if I seem a little tired, I literally had just woken up and I decided to film this. But let's actually talk about how do we give this thing feedback now. Okay, so real quick, before we start giving feedback, I want to see how much context we're at, how many tokens this is eating up, because this does eat up a decent amount. So right now in the conversation, we are at 263K out of our million. So what I would do here is I would basically just go ahead and give this a clear. So in this case, what I like to do is say, okay, give me a summary of everything that you've built and where the different files are so I can clear the session. Because I don't want to be making all of these changes on top of 263,000 tokens. We're going to reset and then I'm going to give it some more feedback. Okay, so here is the handoff message. I'm going to copy all of this. I'm going to clear this session and then I'm going to paste that in. And then I'm just going to shoot that off and let it sort of reorient itself. And then we're going to go ahead and give feedback. And don't overcomplicate the feedback. The way you're going to do this is the same exact way that you would give feedback to a human video editor. Basically saying, hey, at this timestamp, I don't like this and I like this. And at this timestamp, do this. So let's just go ahead and start. Okay, so the feedback that I need you to incorporate and fix some of these issues is as follows. Overall, I like the vibe. I like the logic. I just need some aesthetic changes. So first of all, at about 4 to 5 seconds, when the text starts to come in, that I think it says the golden ratio, we can't actually see it because there's a blur effect on top of it. And I think that blur effect needs to be behind it rather than on top because that whole text is blurred out. Basically from 4 seconds all the way till about 7 seconds. The next scene where you have the 60% come in at about 12 seconds in, this looks really good. However, kind of the right half of the percentage sign gets blurred and a little bit of the left part of the 6 is out of frame. So if you can kind of just scale that down a little bit and make sure that none of that text is blurred out. Very similar feedback for the next section with the 30%. This one all fits in frame, but the right half of the percentage sign is also blurred out. And same thing for the 10%, the right half of the percentage sign is blurred out. The next scene looks solid, no feedback there. I think that's really good. And same thing with the final scene. So those are the changes that I have for you. Please go ahead and figure out how to make those and then give us a new video. And that's why it's so nice to be able to just speak instead of having to type things out, because you can just look at it and you can speak. So if you guys want to check out the tool that I use, just use the link in the description. The good news is it basically told us, yep, everything you said is true. I see this, I need to make these changes. So what you can do is in your prompting and the way that you set up your video editing flow is you can try to have it make sure that before it ever renders or before it ever gives you any output to review, you're telling it to look at every single frame first, and then it can extract all of them, fix the changes, and then come back with a better version. So anyways, here's the plan. It's suggested changes to fix all of those things that we wanted. I'm gonna go ahead and accept that, and I'll let you know when we get our V2. Or technically, I guess it would be our V3. All right, we've got a V3. Let's open this up and check it out. Hey guys, my name is Nate. Today I wanted to talk to you about the golden ratio of AI automation, which basically means when you think of automating a process with AI, you think about the first 60% being automated with just deterministic logic, the next 30% being automated with AI, sort of approval, is because some people... Okay, so you can see that the fixes have been made a little bit. The 60% still cut off a bit, but the percentage signs look good. And of course, the big one is the hero title. This is still blurred out. So I'm gonna do another round of revisions and we should be there. The hero title is still unreadable. It's still completely blurred out. I don't know what is going on here, but you need to make it visible just like the other text on this slide, like lesson 1 and of AI automation. Those are completely visible. So you need to fix that. And then the percentage signs look better. The only issue still is that the 60%, a little chunk of the 6 is still out of frame. So if you can just scale this down or either just move it a little bit more to the right, that needs to be fixed a little bit. But the other ones look good. All right, V4 is here, fingers crossed. Hey guys, my name is Nate. Today I wanted to talk to you about the golden ratio of AI automation, which basically means when you think of automating a process with AI, you think about the first 60% being automated with just deterministic logic, the next 30% being automated with AI, sort of AI assisted, and then that last 10% being kind of the human in the loop manual approval stage. And the reason why I think this is important is some people think we've only been using Copilot. Actually, that's what I want to talk about in this video. There we go. We have our final version. I also think that this is pretty interesting, this kind of spiral. I forget what this pattern is called, but we have basically the 10%, the 30%, and the 60% of the golden ratio. So that's just showing you that Opus 4.7, Claude Code, the logic that it's able to make, and then using hyperframes and turning that into actual HTML that can be animated is very cool. So the final thing I wanted to talk about was just kind of the cost and speed stuff. So let's come back into here and let's do another quick /context to see how many we took on that second run. So the first one was what, like 260K? This one is 125K. And if we remember our session limit, we started this project at 20%. So this one project took about 10% of my 5-hour limit, and I'm on the $200 a month max plan. So keep that in mind. Because we're writing so much output with our code, that is what's going to eat up the tokens. But if you can follow some best practices and clear stuff, then you're going to be able to dramatically reduce that. The other thing to note is that if you're rendering multiple videos, your CPU, your RAM will feel it. So yesterday when I uploaded the video about Claude Design, my face cam was all glitchy and I realized, I was like, okay, that was so dumb because I was rendering like 4 videos as I was recording that one. So if you're rendering multiple videos and your computer starts to feel slow, that's why. So maybe just only do one at a time or whatever you need to do there. But anyways, that is going to do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. Don't forget to go to the free school community to get all of the resources that you need. But if you enjoyed, give it a like. Helps me out a ton. And I appreciate you guys making it to the end of the video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, everyone.